everybody. Welcome to your weekly Leader Arts and Science video challenge. I'm your host, Ms. Mashmeyer.
I'm Mr. Mothersbaugh.
And we are 8th grade science teachers at Festus Middle School.
Today we're going to look at the art and the science behind making rock candy, and we're going to show you guys how to do it at home. But first, let's talk about some science.
As you prepare to go back to school this fall, some phrases you might hear in your science class could include physical changes and chemical changes. So let's talk about the differences between these two things. A chemical change occurs when the chemical properties or the chemical identity of an object is changed. To determine if something has changed chemically, you should always ask yourself, did I make something new and different? Some examples of chemical changes might be lighting off a firework, using a battery, or baking a cake. These are irreversible changes that cannot be undone.
On the other hand, when we have a physical change, only the physical properties of the object are changed. This includes shape, temperature, texture, or even size. The question you want to ask yourself when looking for a physical change is, did I make a new substance with a new identity, or is it still just the same object? Oftentimes, these changes are reversible and can be undone. Some examples of these phenomena might include breaking a pencil, shaping clay, or melting an ice cube. Please keep these concepts of physical changes and chemical changes in mind as we make our rock candy today. Let's get started. Here's what you'll need. You'll probably have a lot of this at home already. Okay, here we are with the ingredients that you're going to need to make the rock candy at home. Across the table we have sugar. There it is. We're also going to need water. You guys are going to mix the sugar and the water in a pot on the stove, and you're going to bring it to a boil. It's very important to create that super saturated solution of sugar water. You're also going to need some jars. We have mason jars. They come in many different sizes. You're going to need some type of flavoring for your rock candy. You can either use this with a type of flavoring, or you can use Kool-Aid packets. And Ms. Mashmeyer, there are other substitutions.
Yeah, so you can use this flavoring here, or you can use the Kool-Aid packets. Either way is fine. That should not affect your recipe, but either way to get a fruity flavor with your rock candy. So again, you can use either one of those.
We also have different various types of dyes that you can use to stain the water a different color if you would like. We have some gel food coloring. We also have some other food coloring that we have available, whatever you can find at your house or in the store. You will need some clothespins. These are very helpful to hold the rock candy in place while it's growing in your mason jar. And then you need something for the crystals to grow on. We have some wooden skewers. You could also use some other things, right?
Yeah, so you can use lollipop sticks like this. If you don't have lollipop sticks, you can use bamboo skewers like Mr. M said, or you can even use a string that you dangle down into the jar. So sticks or string of any sort should work.
Sounds great.
Yep.
And then last but not least, we know that moms and dads do not want you to make a mess in the kitchen. This is very, very sugary water, so we use funnels so we do not make a mess.
Yes, and I would recommend a jar funnel with a large mouth. That way you can pour your solution a little bit faster and you don't have to worry about the small opening, but either one will work.
So these are our ingredients, and use substitutions that you have in your own home. Okay guys, so we are here and we are going to prepare our rock candy growing sticks. I've got some lollipop sticks, and then I've got some water. I've got a plate for my mess, and then I've got some sugar. So you will want to make sure and do this first before you get the water boiling or anything, because this is going to have to sit for at least 20 minutes before you actually use them. So I'm going to take some of the sugar and I'm going to pour some out on this plate. And make sure mom and dad are looking the other way so you don't make a mess. Then you're going to open your water, and you can use a regular cup. You don't have to use bottled water. You can use tap water. I'm going to get this wet, so I put it in. And then what you do is you just roll this in the sugar, and you'll see that those sugar crystals start to stick to that lollipop stick. All right, so we'll do this again. We're gonna go a little bit over halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way, because this is where your rock candy is gonna grow. So once again, sugar crystals stick. then the third one into the water, back into the sugar. All right, so now what we've got are our lollipop sticks, and you can see the sugar crystals on there. We need to let these sit and dry for about 20 minutes, okay?
Okay guys, here we are at the stove. Please remember that stoves get hot and your rock candy solution is also going to get hot, so please make sure you do not use the stove without your parent or guardian's permission. So please make sure that you have adult supervision. So here's what you're gonna need to make the rock candy solution. You're going to need 1 cup of water, and you're going to need 3 measuring cups of sugar. So 3 parts sugar to 1 part water. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and start adding our ingredients. So we said 1 cup of water to 3 parts sugar. So we're gonna go ahead and add our first cup of sugar that I've already pre-measured. And we're gonna go ahead and start stirring that in. Okay, so we can see the sugar is already starting to melt and dissolve. Got some physical changes happening here, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But you want to stir it in until most of the sugar is dissolved. So we'll stir this a little longer. Once most of the sugar is dissolved, we can go ahead and put in another cup of sugar. Now I have pre-measured here 2 more cups of sugar. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in about half of this bowl, and then I'm gonna stir it in. So again, we're back to stirring and dissolving this sugar here. We're gonna go ahead and add our 3rd cup of sugar, and we're gonna stir that in. We are going to stir this in and dissolve it until the pot comes to a boil. You know what they say about a watched pot, right? It never boils. So let's go ahead and do a time lapse to where our sugar is boiling. Okay guys, a watched pot never boils, so now that you've looked away, we are starting to have our water and sugar boil. Please remember that this is very, very hot. So once you get to your boil, at this time, you can take your pot off the heat, okay? Move it over to the side, and this is the time where you're going to add your dye and your flavoring. So we are going to go ahead and make grape because it's obviously the best flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and add flavoring, but you could also add Kool-Aid. So we're gonna add our grape flavoring. Ooh, that is a lot of flavoring. That is going to be a very grape piece of rock candy. And we're also gonna go ahead and add some of our grape food coloring. So once you have added your dye to your mixture here, you're gonna go ahead, stir it in. Look at that dye overtake that sugar solution. And then you are going to do the hardest part of this whole thing. You're gonna have to let this delicious thing sit for 20 minutes, okay? So after you've stirred in your dye and your flavor, you're gonna let it sit for 20 minutes. So I'll see you in 20 minutes.
Okay, here we are, and we are going to prepare our glass to receive our sugar solution. But before we just pour the sugar in, we have to make sure that this glass is warm. So we're gonna fill it up with hot water. I'm gonna take this lid off because it's a mason jar. So I unscrew that, set that off to the side. The lid comes off. I'm gonna use, once again, hot water, okay, to warm up the glass. I'm gonna take the hot water and I'm gonna run it around the outside of the glass to warm it up. And then I'm also gonna fill it up with hot water, and it's gonna prepare this glass to receive the sugar solution. So fill it all the way up to the top. Okay, I'm gonna take my metal ring and I'm gonna put my metal ring back on, and we're just gonna let that set until we're ready to pour our sugar solution inside. So our glass is getting warm.
Oh, hey guys, what's it been, like 20 minutes? So in the 20 minutes that we were waiting for our sugar solution to cool, you and Mr. M went ahead and you heated up your jar. Well, that's exactly where we left off. So let's go ahead and empty out this jar, which is now quite warm. So if you want to use an oven mitt, you can, but we're gonna empty that out, leaving our empty hot jar. What we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and place it on the counter, and then we're gonna very carefully pour in our hot sugar solution. Actually, we're gonna have to take the ring off for this one. You might have to take the ring off. It depends on if your funnel fits or not. But we're gonna go ahead and pour in our sugar solution. Be very, very careful. You might wanna have somebody hold the bottom of the jar as well. So we're gonna pour in our solution here. Just like this. Be careful, because remember, your pot is still very hot and your jar is hot too.
Okay, we are back here at the table. We've got our sugar solution in our mason jar that is still cooling. It's nice and warm. I have the ring that goes on the mason jar, so I'll go ahead and screw that back on. And I need a clothespin, because what the clothespin is going to do is it's going to hold the stick in place. So it's going to hold it kind of like that across the lid. So I'll take one of our sugar covered sticks. We've been letting this sit for about a half an hour now. We said definitely 20 minutes. And what we want to do is we want to put the clothespin on here to where this stick is going to stay about 2 inches away from the bottom. You don't want to get too close to the bottom, because then the crystals will grow attached to the glass instead of the stick. So I'm going to set that about right there, close it down on there, and then I'm going to put this into the sugar solution, and we're going to balance it right there on the top.
Okay guys, we've come to the hardest part of the experiment, waiting. So we recommend that you let your rock candy sugar stick sit in the sugar solution for between 3 to 5 days. This gives the crystals enough time to grow in the solution, making your rock candy.
Now during that time of 3 to 5 days, what's going to happen is the water that we put in with the sugar on the stove is going to start to evaporate. As that water evaporates, the crystals are going to grow attached to our little stick, forming a solid precipitate of sugar crystals, which leads to the formation of rock candy.
Making rock candy provides many great examples of physical changes. Let's discuss some of the physical changes that we saw during this candy making process. For each of these steps, we simply changed the physical properties of the items. We didn't actually create anything new when we made these changes.
Even the process of making rock candy itself is just a set of physical changes, because we aren't actually changing the sugar, the water, and dye into anything new. We are just arranging the old ingredients into a new way and making a delicious precipitate for us to enjoy.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on this week's Leader Art and Science Challenge video.
We hope you guys enjoyed making the rock candy and understanding the science behind it. What are you doing?
What? I'm eating the science.
Where's mine?
Oh, well, you gotta go make one.
And so do you.
Bye for now.
Bye guys.